It is something that you absolutely need to do. I'm telling you right now that in this room, this chat room that we have tonight, one of you will be the president of New York State AFRD one day. Because the people that aren't going to be the president one day, they haven't bothered showing up tonight. And you've made a step to improve your professional career, and I congratulate you for that. So I'd like to start with our program, and I will take breaks so we could you could answer some questions, and but right now I'd like to move on. So if we could have my PowerPoint up, how do we do that, Dr. Manson?
You are now the host. Just
Okay.
go, yep, share screen.
So do I? So is my PowerPoint up so that the participants can see it?
Not yes, Rod. Not yet, Rod. So go down to the bottom and click on share screen.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
And then you should see your PowerPoint and double click on that. And now it's coming to us.
Okay. So let's bring this up. Okay. All right. Once again, if you can see this, please wave. Okay, we're on. Good. Then I'd like to get started. Let's move on right away. We're the title the title that I've chosen for our presentation tonight is a little bit different than the one you may have seen that came through. I'm not going to be addressing presentations in the classroom per se. Because of the audience that is on board right now, you are the future leaders of our organization. And I'd like to be able to talk to you about leadership tonight. And you're going to be teachers, many of you are going to be coaches, but all of you are going to be leaders in the education world very, very soon. So I'd like to share the things with you that I've stolen from other good, smart, successful people. Dr. Manson, Kobe, you both know this. I think, Rochelle, you may be figuring it out. I have been a thief in my profession my entire life because I have stolen great things from everyone else. And now it's my job to share them with you. So let me tell you a little bit about me, because I think this will give me a little bit of credibility with you. So let's move on. I've been in the business for 57 years. I graduated.
Rod, can I just stop you for 1 second? Can you just turn it into a slideshow?
Oh, let me get the slideshow on. There we go. Oops.
You could just do it from current slide, so we're not looking at the Zoom background and everything.
Okay, yep.
All the way on the left.
Okay, where? Okay.
All the way on the left from current slide. No, click slideshow again.
Slideshow, yep.
Yep, and now go to the left where it says from current slide.
Yes.
Yep, go ahead.
Bingo.
Okay, now we're good. Thank you.
Got it. Okay, so we've got you all on. So let me just tell you a little bit about what I've done, because what I'm going to tell you and share with you tonight, I have done. I know that the stuff works because I've done all of this stuff. I have, I've made a lot of mistakes, probably more than any of you will ever make. I've made those mistakes. I've pushed them aside. I've learned from them. And the information that I'm going to give you tonight is what I had learned over the years. And you can take it all to the bank. Graduated from Cortland in 1963, taught for a number of years. At the age of 29, I became the district director of health, physical education, athletics, and driver education. And in a school district with over 4,000 students. I was in that position for 26 years, retiring in 1996. I was on every committee you could be on, and I had coached a number of sports. As you can see there, I coached football and wrestling, and the last three, track and field, swimming and diving, and gymnastics, I coached both boys and girls in all of those sports. So I had done pretty much what anybody would hope for in their career. Since I retired, I've been a supervisor for student teaching for SUNY Cortland. I was an adjunct professor at Manhattanville. I am now an expert witness in court cases involving recreation and education and physical education injuries. So I speak, and I work with attorneys when kids are hurt, and I try to put bad guys, in the noose. But my experience over the years has helped me to be able to give good information to attorneys, and we take care of kids. Some of you are familiar with Bigger, Faster, Stronger. I oversee the National Weight Room Safety Certification for that company. My own company is Perfect 10 Enterprises, and I consult with school districts. And now I'm starting to do some of the things. In fact, some of the stuff that you see tonight are things that I am doing with people in the corporate world. So taking the things that I've learned from teaching and coaching and leadership, and I'm working with not only education, but I'm working with the corporate world as well. I'm working with some of the sports business. I am an advocate for organ donation, for prostate health, and for residential care of ALS patients. You see, I've been active in New York State AFRD at the state level. I have very happily, I've been inducted into the Hall of Fame of the New York State Athletic Administrators Association. And if some of you remember a very short television series, Rise, it was in between the seasons of This Is Us. It was about a high school with football team, and it had a theater program. And I directed all of the football scenes for that NBC television show. So I've done a lot of things, and the stuff I'm going to share with you are the things that I know work. Okay, let's move on. Here's what you're going to learn today. You're going to learn how to understand the thoughts that occupy your mind, and you're going to learn how to evaluate the people who occupy your time. If you know these two things and you can run your life knowing these things and understanding them, you will be successful. And here's who you're going to learn from. How about John Wooden? Raise your hand if you recognize the name John Wooden. I'm finding that the younger people today may not remember him. John Wooden was the basketball coach, men's basketball coach at UCLA back in the 50s and 60s. He won 10 national men's basketball championships, not scattered around, but over a period of 11 years. Tremendously successful, and he has gone on to share with many people, including the corporate world and our U.S. military, the things that he has learned about leadership. We're also going to learn from Abraham Maslow. Now, I know you all took your psychology classes, and you came to all of these psychologists, and we used to call them psychos, but Freud and Jung and Maslow and all these people, and we said, I will never need that information. Well, Abraham Maslow had it figured out. So we'll talk about some of the things that he can teach us. Joe Charbonneau was a very successful businessman. You probably haven't heard his name, but some of these concepts that I'll share with you tonight are from him. And Tom Olivo is a young man that I've coached as a high school pole vaulter, gymnast, and diver. And for many years, he held the diving records at the pool at SUNY Cortland. And he has gone on to be an extremely successful businessman. And he has taken the stuff that he told me that he learned in my gym with him, and he has used that in the corporate world and primarily in the healthcare world, working with hospitals and healthcare systems. So I've stolen great ideas from all of these people, and I'm going to share them with you tonight. Here's a quote that I learned early in my career. Most of you have heard it, but this is one that you should embrace as your own. And I'm sorry I missed this one. And Margaret Marston is actually my daughter, who went on to have a tremendously successful career with IBM as a marketing executive. and she raised me basically. So I'm going to share some things that Peggy have taught me tonight as well. So here's a quote that I'd like you to remember. Kids want to know how much you care, not how much you know. It is important for you to do that. And you know what? Right now, this is really hard to do because you don't have the same opportunity to be right there with kids and to make eye contact, or to be able to pat them on the head or give them a compliment, because those are such important skills that we have. And right now, this doggone social distancing is making it difficult for us. So what do? We learn how to do things the new way, so that you let kids know that you care about them as you're doing much of your stuff now online and away from them physically. All right, let's move on. John Wooden created something he calls the pyramid of success. I'm going to give you some homework tonight. And of course, you could do the homework, or you don't have to, because you don't have to report to me. But I want you to go online and Google John Wooden, and a tremendous amount of information is going to come up that you can benefit from. You should all know who he is and all know what he has taught. Sadly, at the age of 100, he passed away about 2.5 years ago. Some of the speeches that you'll be able to see, you will find to be very, very moving. Anyway, let me tell you about his pyramid of success. He didn't decide to do this one day and sit down and sketch out a pyramid and fill in the blanks. It's something that grew over his career coaching. And this is what the final project actually is. So I'd love to teach a semester on this one time, but for tonight, we're just going to go through it in about 20 minutes. And so I'll give you a little teaser so that you can, you can take it away. You know what, Rochelle, that was a great move. If you all have your phones out, please take a photo of the pyramid. In fact, I'm going to have 3 pyramids tonight, and I'm recommending that you take a photo of all of them, and then you'll have them to work on yourselves. Okay, you can take that time because I'm going to leave it right there. So let me talk about the foundation of John Wooden's pyramid of success. Without a foundation, a good strong foundation, we can't build anything. So, and the most important part of any foundation, of course, is the cornerstones. So our cornerstones, as you see on the left side, industriousness and enthusiasm. And those are qualities that everyone must have if you're going to be successful. Now, this could also be used to talk about a small group like a team, a larger group like a professional staff or a faculty, or an organization, or a corporation. All of these traits are necessary for success in all of those different entities. So let's talk about industriousness first. Let's see, Dr. Manson, can we put this up so someone might be able to respond? Because as you've seen me do this in the past, I've asked some people to give me what their own words mean, and it would be interesting if I could hear a couple of people.
Everybody has permission to unmute themselves.
Okay.
So
all
when
right.
they're just muted now, so we don't get back feed.
Gotcha.
But
okay.
you can ask a question and they can manually unmute themselves.
Okay, let me ask this question. Would somebody please tell me in your own words what the word industrious means? Somebody ready to jump in for that one? 70 people. You know, it's only us in the room. All right, then I'm going to call on someone. Jay Deloche, how are you? Jay, tell me what you think the word industrious means in your own words.
I would say something about like how you manage maybe your classroom, or like that's all I really know about it, I guess.
Okay, you're on the
Business,
right track. I
like
would go along with that. Somebody else? Now that Jay has taken the first bullet, somebody else come up and suggest something.
I would say it's a hardworking, diligent individual.
Absolutely, you nailed it. Who is that?
Gerald Ryan.
Daryl, good job. You nailed it. That's it. Hardworking. And that means you've got to be organized in the process, right, Jay?
yes.
Okay, so we're on the right page. Now let's take the other cornerstone over there. Who would like to take a chance and give me your definition of enthusiasm? Go ahead. Take a shot, someone.
I would say just caring about your work and just knowing that it's worth something.
Yep.
Bringing energy to the table, just showing happiness, and that, yeah, you're really into it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You covered it beautifully. So basically what John Wooden has said is, if you get up in the morning every day and you're ready to come into work, whatever that work is, with a smile on your face and ready to work your tail off, you will be successful. And you know this, you go to classes with people that come in and they got a scowl on their face, they're down in the gutter right off the bat, and everything is going bad today, and they're not ready to put in the work. And you've worked with them, haven't you? And those people, they're not going to be successful. Okay, it doesn't happen. These are requirements to be enthusiastic and to be industrious. Smile on your face, ready to work your tail off. Now, the three building blocks inside there are the interpersonal relationships that we have with everyone: friendship, loyalty, and cooperation. Now, let's find yourself in a group. Most of you have been athletes at some time, so think about a team that you're on. You've been on teams where the other kids on that team, they are not cooperative with team members. Okay, has that been the case? You've also had them that haven't been loyal to each other. They'll throw teammates under the bus if they're going to blame somebody, and they just plain aren't friends. Now, you don't have to be in love with people on your team or in your organization or in your job, but you do have to be friendly, for heaven's sakes. So friendship, loyalty, and cooperation are individual traits, and they're also traits of an organization. So John Wooden said that without all five of those building blocks being satisfied with those great traits and characteristics, this organization will crumble and fail. So here's your assignment. I hope that during my little introduction there, you have taken a photograph of John Wooden's Pyramid of Success. And what I'd like you to do is, if you could print that out, it'd be great. What I'd like you to do is do a self-evaluation where you go through each one of the qualities that are identified here, the big building blocks, and also all of those qualities down each of the sides that John Wooden calls the cement that holds it all together. And I would like you to fill out each of those blocks to the extent that you satisfy that particular characteristic. For instance, if let's say poise, just being yourself, being at ease in a situation, never fighting yourself, and basically being pretty cool. If you are somebody that is not that, you get upset, that you're not at ease, all right, you would only fill out about half of that block, which means you've got some pieces in that particular characteristic that you need to work on. Self-control is another one. Down there in the left, keep your emotions under control. How many kids have you played with that after they have blown a skill in a game or practice, has walked around, they're kicking the ground and they're cursing and all upset at themselves, and the next thing you know, they're going to have to make another play, and they do it badly because they're still kicking themselves in the butt. That's not very good self-control. So that person would not fill very much of that block out at all. So let me ask you to just do that. I think you will find it to be a very a very perceptive exercise, and you'll learn a great deal about yourself. It's good stuff to do. I've done this with, done this with now probably hundreds of presentations of this, and I've given that homework assignment, and I still see people that are participants in those lectures or seminars. They can tell me that they keep working on that pyramid. So I leave that for you to do. Okay. Let me just take a break right here before we go on to the next slide. Are there any questions that jump out for anyone that would be questions good for the whole group? I don't want you to ask a particular question about yourself, but if somebody has a question that might be worthwhile or something that I was not clear about, just jump in and let us know. I'll give you a couple of seconds here to respond.
And feel free to write in the chat if you ever have a question while he's speaking as well.
Okay, nothing? Are we set to go on then? Okay, hearing nothing else, let's go on to another pyramid. And there's Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You read that one page, you remembered what you needed to do for a test, and that was it. Well, I've got to tell you, Abraham Maslow figured this thing out. He knew this back in 1900, for heaven's sakes. And so I'm going to ask you this. All of you have had, by this time, you've had an opportunity to be in front of students where you were the instructor, whether it's in a camp situation, whether it's in your undergraduate activities. If you've been out student teaching already, then you've had a great deal of this. But how many of you would be able to tell me about the physiological needs of your students that have been satisfied? How many of you could tell me what your students had for breakfast? Because food is a basic physiological need. How many of you can tell me about your students' sleep last night? How many of you know that because their little brother has to share a bedroom with you and they had sniffles all night long and kept her up, how many of you know that that poor kid just didn't come into school with a very good night's sleep? How many of you know which of your kids have asthma? Okay, their air supply is going to be an issue. So if you find out and you learn about all of your students and learn these basic things about them, you're going to understand why they really didn't pay an awful lot of attention to this great lesson plan that you worked on for 2 hours last night. Because this one kid, and how about the excretion piece? I don't want to be indelicate, but how about a kid that's got legitimate stomach aches? Okay, that poor kid just doesn't think the world of your great lesson plan today. So there's going to be a reason why they either act out, or they don't pay attention, or they just plain become disruptive. By knowing this about your students, it's going to help that lesson plan go a lot more smoothly. And then the next thing that kids have to know, they've got to be safe. They want to know that they're safe. How many of you know which of your students got bullied on their way home yesterday from school? How many of you know that their parents have been abusing them at home? This is a real concern for a lot of kids. This is another one. The employment issue. There are periods of time that we've gone through where kids have come to school, but their mom or dad have lost their jobs. And right now, with what we're dealing with in this pandemic, my friends, kids are coming to school and their moms and dads have lost their jobs. They're either furloughed or they're on reduced salaries and that stuff. And that's not going to end right away. It's going to be important for you to know that about your students. That's going to make your teaching much more effective. And then we work up our way up the scale there. And it's kids want to belong. And that's a hard thing that we need to address right now as well, because they can't belong and hold hands right now. Not when they're all like we are right now. I would love to be in the same room with you. um, I hope that this is coming across, and I hope you're enjoying this and learning something from it. But I got to tell you, if I'm in the same room with you, there's a lot more energy, and I get the energy from you. Well, right now, that belonging and the need for love that kids have, that we all have, it's hard to satisfy that right now. So we need to know that about our students. Then we work our way up to esteem and self-actualization. And when we've satisfied those characteristics below the halfway line there, we are going to be better teachers, and we're going to be better parents when the time comes for that. We're going to be better leaders, and we're going to be better friends. So your other assignment is go on back in and pull out whatever it was that you had to go and do some research on Abraham Maslow, and remind yourself of some of these points that he made nearly 200 years ago. Holy mackerel! Let's take a break. Any questions on Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs? 3, 2, 1. Usually not too many questions on that one. Okay, let's move on to this next one, which I love to share with you. By the way, let me give you 10 more seconds if you did not take a photograph of the pyramid that I put together for Maslow's needs. Okay, ready to move on. The next pyramid, please take a picture of this right away. And this is one you can duplicate just on a sheet of paper, because I really encourage you to take some notes about the things that I tell you here. I'm going to share some information with you right now that will change your life. Are you ready? Do I have your attention? Every success that you have, every happiness, every joy, every satisfaction that you have in life, and also every failure, every sadness, every hurt is going to be determined by the people who occupy your time. I'm going to tell you some things that are very profound right now. Think of the number of people that are actually in your circle of life now, and go on back a couple of years to when you were children. Think through your family, your friends, the neighborhood, the people in the stores, the basic, stores and retail people that you have dealt with in your life, community servants, everybody. Think of all the people. It's probably in the hundreds. Now you want to make a note here. 27% of all of those people in your life are losers. I wish we were unmuted here, because I usually get some pretty good chuckles out of that. And I usually get a couple of people that offer different names for those people. And here's how we know who people are. We need to know two things about the people that occupy our time. Number one is, what's their goal in life? And number two, how do they handle disappointment and failure? If I know that's about someone, I will know how I need to deal with them. So the 27%ers of the world, the losers of the world, their goal in life is to get something for nothing. They want everything from you. They're not going to contribute. They're not going to pay you back. They're not going to give you assistance, because they want freebies all the time. They have a low level of energy. They're usually negative most of the time. I don't know about how all of you are scattered around New York State, but I have to tell you, my part of the state this last 24 hours has been absolutely gorgeous. And I'll tell you, people come up, and the 27% is going to say, oh yeah, but we're probably going to get some more rain, or they've always got something negative to try to bring you down. Their job is to make you feel very, very little. And because if that's the case, that makes them feel very, very big. So they want something for nothing. Keep an eye on them. Look for what they do. Here's your next assignment. Are you ready for this? Because I'll bet you half of the group has already written down the name of one of these people in your circle. Get rid of them. Now, you can't kill anybody, but these are people that you don't need in your circle. They're gonna take your time, your energy, your emotion, your love, and they're not going to give you anything in return because that's not their goal. Their goal is to get something for nothing. So make it easy on yourself. Think of one of the 27 percenters in your life that's really a pain in the neck, and just don't respond to them. Don't call them back. Don't text them back. They ask you what you're doing tomorrow. You say, I'm not sure yet. I'll let you know. And put them off. And very shortly after that, they're going to go to start sucking the life out of somebody else, but it's not going to be you. You don't need them. And one of the things that do happen, and people ask me, well, listen, we're educators. Wait a minute, we can't just throw away all those people. Now, there are ways to deal with them. And so I'll give you a little snippets of this. In your classroom, you're stuck with some of them, aren't you? Oh, I don't want to do anything. Oh, this is no good. Teacher doesn't know what she's doing. This game sucks. Blah, blah. One thing after, they're 27 percenters. They've identified themselves. So your job is to simply neutralize them so they don't take other people down. Very often they just simply need to be taken aside. You can't depend on them doing anything if you give them tasks to do. So in your classroom, you're going to be stuck having them, and you need to work with them one-on-one. And you're professionals, and you will be active professionals shortly. You'll be able to do that. But in your own personal life, it's time to get rid of them and make your circle a little bit smaller, and it's going to be all quality people. Okay, now that I've just brought everybody down, people get finished and say, oh my gosh. And one of the things that people will say is, what, only 27% of the people that I know are losers? And some people throw out some other numbers like 35 or 40. But anyway, let's use that number for now, and I'll tell you why later. Let's move on. Now, the good news is 60% of all the people in our lives, they're good people. And their goal in life is simply just to get by. They just to simply get by. Let me interrupt myself for a second and go back to the 27 percenters because I just realized I missed a point. I told you what their goal in life is, but I did not tell you how we can identify them when they fail at things. Here's one that I'm going to open up to the group so you can unmute yourself. Tell me what the 27 percenters do when they fail. Come on, jump in. Somebody's got this one. You know it.
Blame someone else.
Absolutely. Nailed it. Who's that?
Andrew.
Andrew, good job. That's it. They blame somebody else.
Thanks.
Not my fault. It's not my fault. I didn't do anything wrong. It was your fault. And the same of it is, because that's their attitude and that's their basis for thinking, they will not improve. After all, they didn't do anything wrong, so they don't need to improve. So these people give themselves away. You know who they are, and the chances are they're going to be that way. You knew some kids like this in the third grade. Look back. Remember the kid in the third grade? He was a jerk. He was a 27%er there. Where is he now? He's still a jerk and a 27% in most cases. Not too many people leapfrog over these lines moving up. And as you move up, it's much more positive. So a great expression from one of those leaders that I identified earlier: as we grow older, we become more of who we are. So our chances of turning that 27%er around, and you know, we're nurturing people in our business. Those of us that come into the world of teaching, we're there because we care about other people. And so you try to lift some of these people out, but my question is, but at what cost? What does it take away from you? What does it take away from others where you can help tremendously? So you have to be careful how you spend your time with the 27 percenters. Andrew, that was a great response. Thank you for that. Let's jump up to 60%. More than half of the people in your lives, all they want to do is get by. They're the people that, now let's see, you've all been coaches. Have you ever had a kid turn to you and say, hey, coach, what time is it? Right in the middle of practice. Well, they don't need to know what time it is. You've seen, and I know you've seen people checking the clock in a classroom. And basically the 60%er needs to know what time it is because they need to know how much longer they need to bear with whatever this is to get by. Some of you may be looking at the clock right now and thinking, jeepers, they said Rod Mergart was going to talk maybe until about 8 o'clock, a little after that. Okay, let's see there. Look at the clock. Maybe I can last another 15, 20 minutes. So we can't throw them away though. We can't start discarding 60 percenters. I'd like to play act a little something right now. And I'm going to ask Kobe and Dr. Manson if you would help me with this. Dr. Manson, did you have to tip Kobe off on what we're going to do?
No.
Okay.
But you
but
know
Kobe,
what? If we can, let's use Rochelle instead.
Okay. Sounds great. Okay, Rochelle, you're on. Let me see. Let me have Kobe and Rochelle. Now, I'm going to give you a situation. Here's a scenario. I am the basketball coach. For whatever reason, this is a mixed gender basketball team where Kobe and Rochelle are on my team. Rochelle is the best player in my whole program. Everything she does on a basketball court is perfect. She's got skill. She's got endurance. She knows where everybody is everything you need out of this kid. She is outstanding. So I depend on her like crazy. But now I'm in the middle of the game or toward the end of the game and I look out, Rochelle has spent the whole thing out there. I could hear her breathing heavily. She's slowing down a little bit and I've got to get her off the court because we're down by 2 right now. I've got to get her off and just get her to catch her breath. So what am I going to do? Who can I put out there? I can't put someone out there that's as good as she is because they're either on the floor or right now or I don't have them. So what do? I go to Kobe. And Kobe, I've kept on the basketball team because he is a terrible basketball player. However, he will work like crazy. And if one thing that he can do, he'll steal the ball from you. He'll steal the ball. He's the best at it. But he is such a klutz. He does not have a shot. He doesn't remember plays. So, but I'll tell you what, I need him right now. So he's my 60 percenter because he just does things as long as he needs to. Give him a couple of seconds. So here's what we're going to do. Kobe, come over here and sit down next to me. All right. I've got to get Rochelle off the floor for just 30 seconds. So you're going to go in. I want you to go in. Rochelle's been on number 23 out there. You go in and you're going to get into number 23's shorts and you're going to terrorize number 23. Do not let 23 get the ball. Okay, I've got 30 seconds. Can you do that? Yeah, coach. Okay. Cody, you ready? In you go. Boom. Rochelle, come on over. Sit down. Rochelle comes over. Catch your breath, kiddo. Catch your breath. All right. Now you're going to go back in. We'll take Cody back out. You're going to run the Oklahoma play. We run you down to the corner. You shoot the 3, and we get out of here. All right? Okay, coach. Ready? Rochelle, onto the floor. Cody, come on off. Sit down. So we've got barely seconds left in the game. Rochelle picks up the ball, takes the ball out of bounds. We work it around to her in the corner, down in the corner. She drains a 3. We win the game by 1. Who was the catalyst that was most responsible for the win tonight? It was Kobe. Because I couldn't have gotten that shot out of Rochelle. She was just worn. She spent everything she had. So the key is, how do we work? Hang on, what did I do here? I moved some stuff up. I'm sorry, I apologize. The key is to be able to make the 60 percenter successful even when they don't know they are, or that they can be. And here's how we do it. those of you that are taking notes, you're going to write down these factors. In order to make the 60 percenters successful, we need to give them clearly observable, short-term, measurable, attainable goals. Clearly observable, measurable, attainable, short-term goals. Okay, Kobe, I'll just jump right back to you on this, just to save time. All right, what information did I give you that was clearly observable?
Rod, Kobe had to step out for a second.
Oh, okay. All right, Rochelle, here we go. What did I tell what did I tell Kobe that was clearly observable?
To not let 23 get the ball.
That's it, right. In fact, it was also measurable, right? What was
Yeah.
measurable about the goals that I gave him, the task that I gave him?
You gave him a specific time, 30 seconds, I think it was.
30 seconds, very specific. And what was easily attainable about that?
He knew exactly what he had to do.
He knew what he had to do, and I knew that he could do that for 30 seconds. But if I had him out there for 2.5 minutes, he was going to fail. And he's never going to be a starter because I can't have him on the floor. But for 30 seconds, that kid is going to be a champ. And it gave you time to catch your breath and go on out and shoot the three, and we walk away winners. So that's the way to deal with the 60 percenter. Their goal in life is to just get by. When they make mistakes, they want to correct them. So they'll work at it. They're the kids every now and then, you'll see somebody do this is, oh my goodness, I can't believe I made that mistake again. Oh, darn. Like, that's a 60 percenter. They don't want to make the mistakes and they'll work at it. So they're assets in any organization. As long as we give them those clearly observable, measurable, short-term, attainable tasks to complete. All right, and you'll be amazed at what happens when you do that. On teams, I have told my coaches, I learned this early in my coaching career, that if my 60 percenters, those kids that where nobody knows their names aren't in the paper or on television, the kids that we don't know, that 60 percenter group, if I make my kids better than your 60 percenters, I'm going to win all the time. Because I've got the top kids, I've got the stars, I've got the kids whose numbers we actually know. So the key to success of an organization is to develop the 60 percenters. And some amazing things come out of that when kids understand that they can win. And and adults do as well. And I learned this in working with teachers and coaches. And now the stuff that I'm working with in the corporate world, I'm working in the world of construction. And I'm working with construction people. These concepts are exactly the same wherever you go. So let's continue to become even more positive. Now we're up to 10%. We've already accounted for 87% of the people in our lives. 27% of them we've got to get rid of. 60% we've learned how to manage. And now 10%, how do we identify those? Somebody step up and think, who are the 10 percenters? Jump in.
Would they be friends and family?
No, they may be, but in our particular pyramid here, that's not the one I'm looking for. Let me save you time. The 10 percenters are the winners. 10 percenters are winners, and we know who they are because of what their goal is. What is their goal? To win. Their goal in life is to win. And then they'll do everything they need to do to win. What happens when they don't win? This is what where somebody can jump in. What happens when they don't win?
They reflect and they improve.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They think about it. What do I need to do next? That's absolutely. It's great to be around them. I am going to tell you that the people in this room right now, you're 10%ers. Your goal in life is to win. You wouldn't have tuned in here tonight if you didn't believe that something was going to come out of this tonight that's going to make you better. Okay? And I hope you found some things already in my little presentation. But you're here to learn more because you want to win. My friends, you're going to be at a very tough competition very shortly. And that's when you go out and apply for jobs. It's nice to win those jobs, isn't it? So anyway, winners want to win. That's their goal in life. When they lose, they're going to reflect on it and they're going to do whatever they need to improve. I've had some kids. Those are the kids, and those are you who have stayed after practice to shoot some extra shots, to work on some drills, to run some more hills, to do their conditioning. They're going to do they're going to go the extra mile to get better and better all the time. And we've heard this expression that this particular person in this organization, they make their teammates and their co-workers around them better. Because if they do that, their chances of winning improve. So these are great people. You can give them tasks where they have to stretch and extend themselves. Okay, and it's great to do that. Now they also need encouragement, so that pat on the back, it just goes miles and miles for you. So we've got to learn to use the compliments. One of the expressions I've used over the years when it comes to coaching and teaching, whether it's in sports or in business skills, is to ignore the negative and praise the positive. When they make mistakes, I'll let it go, okay? Because we're all going to make mistakes. But when you see them do it correctly, you make a show out of it. That's it. That's it. Andrew, you answered earlier before. That's it, Andrew. Way to step up. So that compliment goes a long way. Now we're coming toward the end of my presentation here tonight, and we've still got another group out there. We've got 3% of the people in your lives that are still out there. We don't know who they are. Does anybody want to take a chance on that? Let me give you a minute. Who do you think the 3%ers are?
Is it the people you're striving to be like?
Oh, that's it. That's very interesting. I've never had that response. The people, so you're striving to be like the 3%er. Did I say that correctly?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to use that the next time I do this presentation. I like it. Good stuff. Well, here's how I label the 3%ers. I call the 3%ers the ultimate achievers. In a group of 100, there are only 3 of them. And what's the goal of the 3%er? Holy crow. We thought that 10%er was a pretty good group, and we certainly would like to be identified in that group. There's a group that is even more successful and will probably be greater leaders in that 3%. Their goal in life, and you might want to write this one down, the goal in life of the 3%er is to surpass their last best performance. Wow, that's powerful. The 3%er's goal is to surpass their last best performance. I use the sport analogies all the time. Swimming and track and field's an easy one. Okay, want to drop a 100th of a second off your time? You've just surpassed your last best performance. So what makes them unique, what's the other factor that tells us who people are? It's to know what happens when they fail. I'll open this one up. What do the 3%ers do when they fail? We know that 10%ers reflect and do what they need to do to improve. There's something that 3%ers do that no other people do, and it's powerful. Go ahead, take a shot. What do you think? Somebody take a risk.
They show others their mistake.
Holy crow. Did you just give me the last, who was that?
Luis Aguilar.
Luis, do I know you?
I
Have
don't
we
think so.
met?
Don't think so.
I'll be darned. You sound familiar. Sorry, I just had something here at the house I had to take care of. Louis, that was powerful. How do I, boy, I have to circle back to it because it was so good. They tell others that they've made their mistakes because what they do is the 3%er, when they make a mistake, forgive themselves immediately and move on. And what you've identified is if you tell somebody else, hey, you've forgiven yourself. Because if you're still kicking yourself, you're gonna keep quiet about your mistake. Holy crow. Boy, I just learned something tonight. Thank you. So the 3%ers, let's summarize this. Their goal in life is to surpass their last best performance. When they fail, they forgive themselves immediately and move on to solve whatever the problem was. Somebody once said that Thomas Edison is quoted as having said, "I learned 1,001 ways not to make a light bulb." And he made a light bulb. Does the name Francis Adams mean anything to you? No, probably not, because during the same period of time, Francis Adams was trying to invent a light bulb as well, but he stopped after he made about 500 mistakes. Thomas Edison kept going on and made the mistakes, forgave himself, moved on, and he's the guy that invented the light bulb. So it's their great qualities. There are 10%ers and 3%ers in this room with all of us tonight. I couldn't be more proud of you. So that pretty much wraps up the meat of my presentation. Let me open it up. If any of you have any quick questions that would be for the good of the group. Okay, we're open now. You always bring me to this dilemma when I don't get responses. Either my presentation was so stellar and complete that no one has a single question. The other thing is that someplace around the 3rd or 4th minute, I lost you and you've just hung in and been courteous to me. So anyway, let's move on. Something might come, a question might come to mind in just a minute. So let's start to close. Here's our summary. Only your thoughts will determine your success. Remember, the thoughts that occupy our mind, and John Wooden's Pyramid of Success helps us to identify how we think. And only you can determine what people help you attain success. So when you take these two, life is simple. They're just these two factors that you need to have control of. And right now, you've got all the tools that you can do that. You've got great little phrases that you can use, and I've tried to keep it simple. There's no reason to complicate things. So let's see what else we've got here. So in closing, yes.
I'm just manning the chat room, and we have somebody that just said, Rod, outstanding presentation. If I identify myself as a 60%er, what should I do to create the change I need to myself to become a 3%?
Wow. Oh, Dr. Manson, what a group we have here tonight. That's a powerful question. Okay, and I'm talking right now because I don't have the answer for you immediately. All right, the 60%er, you just want to get by. All right. You know that wall that, you know, at the end of a, let's take the end of a class. You're in the classroom, And we know that that class ends at 10:15. Maybe this isn't a good idea. Here it is. Here's your answer. You hang in longer. Stick with it longer. Make mistakes. Make mistakes. And hang in longer. How do you feel about that? What do you think? It's a great question. Give me a response on that. Let's talk this out.
We have one response in the chat box. Some of that will come with experience. That's what you're talking about. It takes time.
It does take time. And that gives me the opportunity to talk to you about experience. You know how we say experience is the best teacher? Do you know what a better teacher is? Somebody else's experience. Learn from somebody else. Steal from other people. Steal ideas. Steal the things that successful people do and think about. I don't think there's a 60%er in the room right now. I think that's rather humble of you to ask that question. And perhaps you might have someone else that you need to work on. But I think my advice would be pretty good. Hang in there, make mistakes, forgive yourself, and that puts you in a whole new category, doesn't it? Make the mistakes and steal from other people. Do what successful people do. Surround yourself with people better than yourself. It's amazing what happens there. We need two things in our lives to be successful. I keep it simple again. We need the opportunity to practice what we want to do. Very shortly, you'll be doing your student teaching, and you've done some other practice teaching of some sort. But in boot camp, you need to practice the stuff you're going to do. That's number one. Number two, you need a network of people better than you. And the people who stay as 60%ers and drop back into the 27%ers don't want to hang out with people better than themselves because they're threatened by it. So you take a risk and you hang out with smarter people. One of the things that I did was when I first got started, I became the director of athletics and health and physical education back in 1970. I had just turned 29 years old. I had hung around and I made sure that at meetings, I got to sit down to the veteran school administrators, sat with them, listened. It's amazing what you pick up. Here's a little piece of advice. I don't know that I should be quoted on it, but after a clinic or a workshop or a seminar or evening classes, boy, you'll learn a lot at a bar with somebody smarter than you. Learned a lot of stuff from school administrators, hanging out with superintendents. They're just like everybody else. Okay, I'm starting to ramble on a little bit, but I hope that that kind of addressed that question. You're not a 60%er, or you wouldn't have even asked the question, by the way. But thank you for asking it, because it was a real good opportunity for me to share some information with you. So let me close with this: 10 words that we don't say enough that I want you to say all the time. Please. Thank you. I love you. And how may I help? And there are 5 others that this is going to save you a lot of stress and drama. Say, I'm sorry I was wrong. You'll stop a lot of arguments that way. And it's worth it to do that. Let me share with you something that I usually start a presentation with, and those are Coach Mergart's rules. Coach Mergart's rules are very simple. I keep things simple. Number 1, if we're in if we're in a group together, there will be no foul language. My friends, not that I don't know them. I know all of the foul words that there are, and I can use them in very poetic means very often. But when we're together in a professional setting, and we're trying to keep ourselves at a higher level, a filthy mouth doesn't work. So we just clam up. No foul language. Number two, no excuses. We didn't do it right, we don't make an excuse. Okay, 27%ers make excuses, Andrew shared with me, or shared with us. Number three, no put downs. You don't put anybody else down. By the way, that's called harassment and bullying. We don't do that together. And by the way, don't put yourself down. Don't ever let me hear you put yourself down, because I'll be all over you. And finally, when we're in our group together and things are going well and we've been successful, we celebrate. High fives. Back when we could get together, hugs are going to work. I sure miss them. So I'm going to leave you with that. And I will say, please do your homework. Go back and review the things we talked about. Thank you for giving me your attention tonight. I love you. I love our profession, and the future of the profession is right here in this room with me tonight. I cannot thank you enough for being on hand tonight. Also, thank you, Dr. Manson. Thank you, Rochelle. Thank you, Kobe, for putting all of this together and making it really easy for me. It was a wonderful, just a wonderful night. And finally, to all of you, how may I help? Oh, you know what? I don't think I have my, let me check quick. Do I? No, I don't. My email is rmergardt123@gmail.com. You are now my students. If there's anything I can do to help you, you reach out and I will help. I'd be glad to.
Thanks, Rod.
I enjoyed this so much. Thanks, everyone. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay in touch.
Please don't sign off yet. All right, if
Okay.
everybody could just stay with us for a minute.
Okay.
I'm gonna put Kobe back on. Rod, if you can just stop your screen share, just go up to the top and you can stop your screen share. And before Kobe comes on, one thing I asked you to put your name and your school email address in the chat. So if you haven't done that yet, please do. Just for many reasons, in case a professor asks if you were there for attendance purposes or anything like that. All right, so I will have all of that. The other thing is I wanted you to put on your calendars now, but you'll be getting an email about it, is the next one is January 15th, same time. You'll get a Zoom link, and that's when Dr. Clancy Seymour from Canisius College will be on, and he will be doing an overview of the new New York State standards. So it's going to be a really, really good presentation as well. So I just wanted to give you the heads up on that, and thank you again from me, and now I'll turn it to Kobe.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us and taking some time out of your day to come and talk to all our students here. Are there any questions for anyone out here? I know Alex Johnson had a question for Rod, but if Alex, you want to talk, you may, or if anyone else has any questions. Alex, you want to go ahead first?
So Rod, when you were talking about 27%ers in your life and how they're people you should cut out of your life, I just had a question about somebody in my life. I have somebody who has good morals. They repay you back. They take blame for their mistakes, but they just don't have any aspirations to find something they love to do in life or to try to be successful at all. And I'm just not sure what I should do with that person as it concerns with my personal life with them.
That's interesting. I don't think the person you described to me is really a 27%er, because the 27%er does want to take things from you. This person is just, it sounds like a low level of energy. And right now really is just trying to get by. Okay. Now, what you can do personally with this person is just have a simple conversation and say, all right, what would you like to do right now? And you can pick away and find some things that they simply like. And that's, and some, I've done this with, you know, so many students over the years, and so many people on my staff that, you know, they weren't sure what they like, but find one or two things with that person that they like to do, and start to find a way that they can do that more often. The greatest thing of all is to have a career that turns out to have been your hobby. So picking away and trying to help that person find what they like to do is the first step. And the second is simply the same advice that I gave earlier to the previous question was, allow yourself to make mistakes, which I think this person is afraid to make the mistakes. So let them, give them permission. You give them permission. You're a 3%er. You wouldn't have asked the question if you weren't. Give them permission to make mistakes, and let them know that you're there as your support, as their support.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, thank you, Rod.
By the way, that question, Alex, you've got my email. If you'd like to, we could connect, and we could extend that conversation if you'd like.
All right. I'll go ahead and send you an email. Thank you.
You got it.
Awesome. Is there anyone else who has any questions for Rod or anything at all? All right, I'll take that as a no. We are going to stay on for a few more. Just Rod, Dr. Manson, myself, Rochelle. If anyone has anything they'd like to talk about regarding New York State AFERD or running for future professional president, I will be stepping down soon, and Rochelle will be taking over as the new president. So we're going to be needing a new president-elect coming very, very soon. So if you're interested, I highly recommend you taking a look at it. And we will also be sending out information here very soon about the application and what's all the details are about that. So just be on the lookout for an email about that, and also be on the lookout for an email about the upcoming meeting or webinar, which will be October 15th with Dr. Seymour. Other than that, I appreciate everyone for joining us tonight. And I thank you again, Rod, for coming out here and spending some time. Other than that, I hope everyone has a great night. And if you have any questions, feel free to stick around or reach out to me personally. I can put my email here in the chat. But other than that, have a safe night, and we'll see everyone soon.
Can Jason Quitoni and Sandy Morley stay on too?
Oh my goodness.